Hello, everyone. This is episode 5 of Just a Couple Thoughts. I am half your resident couple, Kevin.
I'm Sarah.
Hello.
Hello. It's us again. Can you imagine? Episode 5, we're back. You're like, why are you back? Why are you here?
I mean, if you're watching episode 5, I hope that you at least we have 4 other episodes. So I don't think you have to worry that you're back.
6 of you. Actually, all 5, because I think one of them, it was like, oh no, wait, I didn't watch the last one. So it's 6 people.
Yep. 6 people watching our podcast right now.
Wow. That's better than no people.
Even if no one watches this, I'm still going to upload it, honestly. No. I think it's more fun just to talk than the actual uploading and the views itself.
I think it's funny because the first episode always gets a lot of views, right?
Mm-hmm.
First episode got a lot of views. Second episode was a little bit less. So I'm wondering if every episode, because of our opinions, we just keep losing more and more people until it's just down to our friends.
Yeah.
So
again, like I said, it's more important for me that we just talk, right, rather than get the views. I mean, the views are nice, right?
yeah.
I think what's also important to me is the actual feedback and comments. Speaking of which, I have not set up that email yet. I will get on that. Hopefully the email will be in the description, and I'll actually mention the name in the next podcast. So, but I have not decided on the email name yet. Got a couple ideas, but I don't want to say them in case it confuses everyone in the podcast.
I think we should go with Jacked. I think that's a great name. Jacked.
Just JACT.
Yeah, Jacked.
I mean, I'll see if it's taken or not. So do you have a question for us, Sarah?
Do I have a question for today?
Or not a topic?
A topic? I was trying to think of one, but I couldn't really think of one today. Why, do you have one?
Sort of. I'm thinking about getting into more specific topics today.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Well, okay. Because by the time you get back from Hawaii, it would be the week where Avengers Endgame comes out. Right? So I kind of want to talk about the Marvel movies. So when you come back, we could talk about Endgame, I guess.
Okay.
Since we both have sort of, I don't want to say strong opinions about the Marvel movies. Right? If you remember from episode 1,
we covered it a little bit in the first episode, but I don't quite remember what we talked about specifically. So
I said it briefly that I just don't like the Marvel movies, right? And it's not just the Marvel movies. Like I mentioned also that the DC movies also suck. I think I have a problem with most superhero movies in general. At least most current superhero movies in general. Yeah. So I'm not I know that you've said before to me personally that you think all the Marvel movies are pretty much the same, right?
Yeah, I've said that, yeah.
So I'm wondering if you have any other particular opinions on the Marvel movies. Or I guess superhero movies in general.
Well, I like superhero movies. I think.
We thought, right?
Well, yeah, okay, but here's the thing though, because I haven't seen all of the Marvel movies, so I haven't seen Thor, I haven't seen Thor: The Dark World. I mean, okay, I only haven't seen, I think, from the Marvel side, 2 movies. I haven't seen Captain Marvel, and I haven't seen Captain America,
Winter Soldier.
That people say it's the best one.
Yeah, people say it's the best one. I'll take the word for it. I think that I would like it. So honestly, I'll take the word for it and say it's it's probably good. It's just the ones I have seen has always been at best just good, and at worst just awful. And most of them is just in below average area.
Are we talking superhero movies as a whole, or are we talking just Marvel movies?
Well, right now I'm just talking about Marvel movies. If we're talking about superhero movies as a whole, let's say including all the old school superhero movies.
Like Daredevil?
I guess so. Daredevil, Elektra, I guess Superman, Superman, Batman, Dark Knight, and all that stuff.
Is Aeon Flux considered a superhero?
No, I think that's just a comic book movie.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, there's a small
like,
difference, but there is a difference, I believe.
Because they have like superpowers.
Yeah.
But they're like born and like bred to have those like super abilities.
I mean, I don't know how I would define like a superhero movie. I don't know. That's a hard description to put, especially when you want to differentiate between comic book and superhero movies, right? Because the only thing that gets adapted now is superhero movies.
Yeah.
So, but like comic books, comic books are very different. Like you know that I'm a big comic book fan, right? And
this is a big shock to me. This is a huge shock to me.
no, come on, you've been with me to the comic shops, so, but I'm a pretty big comic book fan, especially more old school comics. Up until like, I forgot when exactly I stopped reading both DC and Marvel and then picked it back up. But somewhere in like late 2000s, I stopped reading comic books for a while. And I picked it back up like early college, basically. So 2013. So there's a big like 5-year chunk where I stopped reading comics. And that was during like a lot of the most unliked events, I think. Like around early New 52, I stopped reading comics. During I forgot what it's called, but like the Marvel event with the Phoenix Force and how the Phoenix Force got split off and joined all the X-Men or whatever. Or not all the X-Men, some of the X-Men, and then fucking Cyclops killed Professor Xavier. I guess spoilers for that event many years ago. But what I'm trying to say is like I stopped reading superhero comics for a while, and then what I ended up reading instead was a lot of indie comics. So a lot of the Dark Horse and like the Image comics, and I wouldn't call most of them like superhero comics, right? I can't think of many I read back then because it was mostly just like I read like 1 or 2 issues and I just stopped reading it. Well, for instance, like one comic I'm reading now is like Wayward, right? Wayward and Birthright, which are both, when they came out, pretty popular at the time. The trades come out super slow, and I only read the trades from them because I wasn't reading them when the issues came out. But if those ever got adapted to like movies or TV shows, I would feel very cautious calling them superhero movies or TV shows, you know?
Yeah.
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 It's kind of like people who like, how can I say this?
I mean, it's like saying that like The Matrix is a superhero movie, which it's not really.
It's not really.
But he has like super like human abilities, and he lives in like, and he is like the one guy that has like these superhuman abilities, and saves a bunch of people. So to them, he's like a superhero, right? Or he's God, the one. He's like Jesus or something.
Yeah, the way I describe it is kind of like how I think superhero movies or whatever, they're a superhero comics are like a genre within a medium, right? So like, for instance, like if an anime came out, you're not going to call all of them shonen, right? Even though like the only real animes that kind of get adapted are either shonen or seinen, right? To around here in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And if like a shoujo series got released here, right? It would kind of like not necessarily like break the anime stereotypes that we have now, or anime movie stereotypes, but it'll more or less be like, so are you comfortable, even though the only things that got adapted are shown in the same series, are you comfortable calling whatever new things that was originally an anime get adapted to Hollywood, would you be comfortable calling that an anime movie? Which, like, yes, but I wouldn't call it like, I wouldn't associate it with the other movies, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's the most popular anime movies that got adapted to Hollywood? Alita Battle Angel. Anything else?
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow, technically yes. Even though that wasn't anime, but like stuff like that, right? Alibaba and Edge of Tomorrow are good examples.
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell. What's that? Did it have a American Hollywood release?
What?
Oh yeah, it did. With the I totally forgot about it already. With the ScarJo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So like those three movies are good examples because they're all like very sci-fi and whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But let's say like if they ever decide to adapt like a Fruits Basket movie to Hollywood, right? That'd be weird, right? That'd be weird. And like, would you like if you say like, oh, that's like an anime movie, and people were like, oh, kind of like how Alita Battle Angel or Edge of Tomorrow or like,
yeah,
or Ghost in the Shell or anime movies, like you wouldn't do that. And I feel like the problem, like that isn't as bad an example or bad of a problem with anime as it was comic books. Because with anime movies, like most people understand that like, oh, it's a medium from Japan, right? Or it's like a medium, or like a medium that most people know, right?
What do you mean by that? Because I don't think that's true. I don't think most people would be like, your average viewer would be like, that's from Japan.
I mean, okay, if they know that it's adapted from something, right? Mm-hmm. They'll at least know that it's adapted from an anime, right? I feel like that's a logical conclusion. Like, oh, it's adapted. And then you look it up, like, oh, is that from anime? And then associate anime from, right?
If you look it up. But if you just like looked at it, you wouldn't immediately associate it with an anime. You'd be like, oh, it's a comic book.
No, but that's kind of like my point where, like, if most people like, they won't know The Crow is like a comic book unless they actually like look it up, right?
I didn't know it was a comic book.
Yeah, at one point it was a comic book, I believe. I'm pretty sure, right? Or it was like inspired by a comic book, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Or like most people wouldn't know that like like the Matrix was inspired by Ghost in the Shell, or lots of things like they won't know the original source material, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure like most people when Lord of the Rings came out didn't know it was a book series first.
Really?
I think so.
I guess that makes sense because who else would be reading Lord of the Rings except for really nerdy people who play D&D?
Yeah. So when it first came out, like people would think like, oh, it's a fantasy movie, right? Mm-hmm. But like if they look it up and see what it's adapted from, then they would know like, oh, this is from a book. This is from this is that.
Yeah.
And then if people look up like an anime adaptation, they're like, oh, it's from an anime, and most people would know what anime is.
It's from a Japanese cartoon.
Even if it's like a very base understanding, I feel like most people would know what anime is.
Now.
At least now, yeah. Again, like very base understanding. My issue, what I'm trying to say, I feel like that's harder to do with comic book movies now, because the only thing that gets adapted from comic books is superhero stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of unfair because like even though the majority of stuff is superhero, like the superhero genre, that's not all of it.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like if Birthright ever gets adapted in some way, like I feel like that would be weird to describe as like a comic book movie now.
Mm-hmm. Well, like freaking The Walking Dead. That got adapted into like a miniseries or the
TV series, right?
TV series, yeah.
But that's a good point. Like The Walking Dead is like a comic book series that got adapted to a TV series, right?
Yeah.
And most people would know it as a comic book series. That is a good point. I just don't feel like that applies to most things. I feel like Walking Dead is a weird exception. If Birthright came out and you said it's a comic book movie, I feel like the first thing people will think is the Marvel stuff, right? Or the DC stuff. Because they're the biggest juggernauts in the comic book industry.
Yeah.
And they're the only movies that get adapted, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel weird like describing like in this hypothetical world where where the indie comic books I read gets adapted. I feel weird describing them as comic book movies sometimes in this hypothetical reality. Mm-hmm. Right? Well, even then, like I kind of feel weird describing like Wayward as like a comic book series to people who are not comic book fans, right?
I mean, oh, Archie has its own series.
That's true. Archie does have his own series, but I feel like Archie, like Riverdale, right? I feel like Riverdale is at a point where it's just so separate from the comic books that people don't know it's comic book adaptation.
People don't know that it's Archie.
Yeah, people don't know it's Archie.
Which, to me, I'm just like, but it's called Riverdale, and Riverdale is very Archie.
No, but that's the thing. Like, people have this very base understanding.
Richie Rich also got its own Disney Channel show.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, people have this very base understanding with the actual medium itself. So it's kind of hard to describe them as that kind of medium, right? Mm-hmm. If you say like Archie is from a comic book series, right? People will be like, oh, okay. Like, I know, like, wonder like what the comic book is about, even though the comic's just normal Archie everyday life.
Even the new Archie is very Archie. Mm-hmm. Like, when you read it, it's like, wow, that's very Archie.
Yeah, the art style is different, but it feels Archie.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I love, because I love Archie. Mm-hmm. Not to, like, I feel like this is a very big tangent, but I was just thinking, because we're talking about, like, Richie Rich and Archie. So, like, Archie had a bunch of different, like, cartoons and stuff. It has a lot of different crossovers with, like, really weird crossovers in the comics anyway. But, like, Archie and, like, Josie and the Pussycats are very, like, intertwined with each other. And so they do a lot of crossovers there, and they meet each other in their universe. But also, Archie had, like, a TV series, I guess, like a cartoon series. It was like a supernatural Archie. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And Richie Rich had that movie with, who was in it?
I don't remember. I'm bad with actors.
It's Kevin from Home Alone. Oh my God. Why am I blanking?
I'm bad with actors.
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
With Macaulay Culkin. Yeah. Which is like the only movie that I watched in elementary school. But all of those, I mean, I feel like if you watch that that Richie Rich, right? Would you necessarily think, you wouldn't necessarily think that it's from a comic, right?
Yeah, and that's my point. That's exactly my point.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Like, okay, here's a recent example, right? The Netflix series with Sabrina. The what's it called? The chilling adventures of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, right? Most people don't know that's from a comic.
How is that possible?
Because people think it's just like a Netflix original series, and it doesn't help that Netflix puts it as a Netflix original.
Yeah, but it's like Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I mean, like, that had its own like series. That it had its own like TV series.
Mm-hmm. But most people don't know is like that specific series was originally from a comic, which I love the comic. Like, I really liked the comic. I never watched the Netflix series because I just didn't care enough. I mean, I don't like Riverdale, and when I saw it was made by the Riverdale people, I'm like, ooh.
Okay, let me tell you. First season of Riverdale, so good. so good.
Sure.
So awful. So terrible. But so good.
Sure.
It's like watching Twin Peaks.
Did you watch Twin Peaks?
Not really. Not too much of it. I think I started like the first episode, and I'm like, man, this is very Archie. Because it's
Isn't it the other way around?
Yeah.
Archie's very Twin Peaks.
Archie is very Twin Peaks because it's a small town where everybody knows everything about everybody, and there's a murder, and that's basically Twin Peaks. And there's like corruption and like, you know, backstabbing and whatever. But
yeah, like, but that's like my point.
But yes, I see your point.
Yeah,
I see your point. That it's like not. I see what you're getting at. Yeah.
Well, it's harder to describe something as like, oh, this is from a certain medium, because that medium's kind of overtaken by superhero.
My brain is working at like, you know, 2 seconds. Like,
that's why I even though like it is a change on my side too, where like I like comic books a lot, So especially stuff that aren't superhero series, right? I love superhero comic books. Don't get me wrong. I grew up with them, and some of my favorite comic books are from superhero arcs, right? But I feel like I would enjoy watching adaptations from like more indie series first, or I'll like the more indie series like better, right? Like, even though I haven't seen it, like I'm sure on some level I would like the Chilling Adventures of the 300 Witch, right? I feel like that like comic book like indie stuff is so unique that I would enjoy watching them more because they're so different from everything else. But I don't feel that way about a lot of the comic book movies, right? Which is a shame because I do think like a lot of comics, superhero comics, are unique, right? Like, what was the latest comic book movie we saw? Aquaman?
Yes.
Yes. Aquaman was the latest comic book movie we saw. And I feel like if they actually adapted more of the New 52 Aquaman, the first couple arcs, I feel like I would have enjoyed that more. Right? But the way that the Aquaman movie is now, it just feels like another superhero movie, which is something that I was expecting, but I didn't want DC to go towards. Because I told you this before, when the DCEU was starting to become a thing, that I didn't want it to be like Marvel. I didn't mind the DCEU movies being bad, right? Because at least they felt different from Marvel movies. But as time went on, they started becoming more and more like Marvel movies, I feel.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to come to a head with Shazam, where it's only going to feel like a Marvel movie. Or like what the Marvel series has already set up. And I said this before, like, I feel like if there's any time they want to go all in on the Marvel feel, it would be Shazam, because that's like the most accurate, like, Marvel feeling hero you could do that with.
Yeah.
But some of the other comics, I don't think, for me personally, right, I don't think that's something that I would enjoy, right?
Yeah.
Like if we had like a more Marvel style Batman,
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be awful. I feel like if we had a more Marvel style Superman, that would be awful. And when I say Marvel style, I mean like the movies, right? If they all had that sort of feel, then I can't deal with that, right?
Yeah.
And then even then, like, I don't like a lot of the interpretation the MCU has done with their heroes. What's an example? Like, I don't like
Doc Strange.
Yeah, I don't like MCU Doc Strange.
Yeah.
I feel like they kind of took away a lot of his character from the original comics, which, to be fair, he didn't have a lot of character, right? But what was there was enough to base something off of. But I feel like they kind of took away the base Doc Strange and just put in more of just like the brooding rich billionaire thing that Tony Stark has.
Yeah.
Right? And that's something I don't like about it.
But he's like even more boring because he's less witty.
Yeah.
So
unless it's an Infinity War where he has war wit, because they kind of want. There's only two kind of characters that I feel like Marvel can the MCU can write for the male characters at least, which is the Captain America, which is the good people, well, not good people, the
goody two shoes,
or Tony Stark, right?
Yeah, like the rebel,
the rebel, witty,
funny guy
who's also sort of an asshole.
Yeah,
right. I feel like those are the only two male characters that could write.
Yeah, because it's like,
and all the female characters get shafted.
Because like, let's think about that. Like, who else is like Tony Stark? Well, of course, himself.
Yeah.
Who else is Robert Downey Jr. Basically?
Basically, you either got goody two shoes or the wit asshole, right?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to be all billionaires, and you don't necessarily have to be like Boy Scouts. But I feel like those are the only two spectrums that Marvel male characters have. Like goody two shoes, you got like, there's Captain America, obviously.
T'Challa.
T'Challa, Black Panther, a war machine to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Um,
The Falcon guy.
Falcon, yeah. And then on the other hand, Vision,
Oh yeah.
the good two shoes. But I feel like, and then on the other hand, you have the witty assholes. So like
Star-Lord.
Iron Man, Ant-Man, what was his name? I forgot his name. I don't care. I don't care about that iteration of Ant-Man that much. Well, what else? It's
I already said one.
what?
I said Star-Lord.
Star-Lord, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's already like most of the male characters there are. Like Thor began as a goody two shoes, and then turned into more of a witty asshole.
Yeah.
Right.
Even the Hulk is a little like
Okay, like the Hulk is weird because the Hulk himself doesn't have a personality, but Bruce Banner is goody two shoes.
yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And like I know like people would say like, oh, but these characters like have different quirks in them, and that's true to a certain extent.
Oh, Hawkeye. I feel like Hawkeye's
Hawkeye's
like,
goody two shoes.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's true to a certain extent that each of them have like their own unique kind of character. Like you're never going to confuse like Captain America with someone like Star-Lord or
Yeah.
no, I feel like no. You're never going to confuse Tony Stark with Star-Lord, right? But I feel like there's not enough depth to these characters to basically make that sort of distinction.
I feel
sometimes.
like they're like dumbed down, so it's almost like, superhero movie for babies. It's like, oh, this is bad guy, but he's also and it's like this is bad guy and he has no personality.
Yeah, this is bad guy, this is good guy, they fight now.
Yeah. This is good guy, but he's a rebel and he doesn't like to like play by the rules.
Why do you have that like 90s trailer?
Because that's what it is, isn't it?
I
Like
mean, it's sorta.
Ant-Man, Iron Man, all the other mans. They're all like guys that don't like to play by the rules, who fight another guy who is the same guy with a better suit and better stuff, and then they beat them in the end.
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not disagreeing.
They get the opposite suit and then they beat them in the end. They're like, my suit is better.
At least in Thor, all the villains were different from Thor. They just weren't memorable for the most part.
Or they're not memorable, right? Like
Yeah.
the Ant-Man guy, the one guy,
that's
the
just
bald
guy
guy
with
from
another
Ant-Man.
different suit, and that was what, the Yellow Jacket?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot.
I don't know what his character name is because fuck, that movie's forgettable as shit. But
Remember when Anthony died?
I don't give a shit.
No, Anthony.
Yeah, because but that's my thing with the Marvel movies is that they're so basic.
Forgettable.
They're so basic and forgettable for the most part. And the exceptions are something that like the fan base really, really holds on to. Right? Like, oh, Thor Ragnarok was so different from the other Thors. Like, yes, that's true. I still think it's not a good movie.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily make it a good movie just because it's different.
Yeah. Or like, I feel like okay. Let me get into what I like about the Marvel movies first before I go into my I guess hot takes. Right? I think all the Marvel movies for the most part are entertaining. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. At the very least, they are entertaining. Just because I don't think they're good as movies doesn't mean I can't find entertainment in them, right? This may be a bad example because I'm comparing something that's really, really shit to something that's the MCU, but like that's like the same thing for me for most of the Transformers movies, where I find the Transformers movies entertaining, but they're all really bad,
Yeah.
right? I'm not saying the MCU is as bad as them, but you kind of get my point there. Where they don't necessarily need to be good movies in order for them to be entertaining. And I find all the Marvel movies entertaining. Most of the Marvel movies entertaining.
That's how I feel about a lot of the X-Men movies. It's like, these are really bad,
But they're entertaining.
but I'm entertained.
Yeah.
Or the Fantastic Four, not the new one, but the old
ones? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, man, I really like that movie. That was a good movie.
Good movies relative. There.
Yeah. I'm like, that wasn't I'd watch it again.
Because like yeah, but that's my thing with a lot of the Marvel movies, where it's like I find them entertaining, and I feel like they're very easy movies to get into, right? Because they're like really basic for people.
That's what I'm saying, Kevin. It's superhero movies for babies.
Well, what was a superhero movie for adults? The Dark Knight?
I don't even know. I guess.
That's the closest thing we got, and I feel like that's not like...
I don't know. Have you ever...
Like, I like the Dark Knight. I like Dark Knight a lot. It has issues, but I like it a lot.
I think it really works as a superhero movie. You know what I think is a really boring superhero movie? Batman Begins or whatever.
The first one?
That one sucks, okay? It's a lot of just talking and not enough Batman. And I know it's his origin story, but still, like, wow. Wow.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. But what was I getting into? It's what I like about the Marvel movies. I feel like that's about it. Like, I get the Pacific movies I like. Like, I like Guardians of the Galaxy a lot, right? I like the first Guardians of the Galaxy a lot. I don't like 2 as much, but I still think it's decent. Right?
I think Yondu is the best part of 2.
Yeah, Yondu is the best part of 2. And I think Yondu is probably one of the few good parts about 2. I think I can only name like 3 good things about 2.
I think I cried
Yeah, you did.
when Yondu died, and I was like,
Well, you cried during the funeral.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was very emotional because I'm like, dude, he's dead. I can't believe it.
Because like, there's 3 good things I like about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It's Yondu, because I like his character arc. I like how it ends. The funeral, how Star-Lord talks to Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah.
How Gamora and Star-Lord don't necessarily get together because they both need to become the better people.
Yeah.
And I like the themes of 2, which is like, it's about fatherhood and parenthood and everything like that. I really like those 3 things. I feel like a lot of that movie does not work, but those 3 things are really, really good.
I just really like the scene where they break out of the Raider ship or whatever.
Yeah, and it's Rocket Raccoon and Yondu.
And that was great.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. Oh, that's just so good. I love that scene.
Yeah, so I feel like those are the 3 things I really like about Guardians of the Galaxy. Volume 2. I like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 a lot. I like the camaraderie. I like the writing into 1. I like the feel of 1. I like how it introduces all the characters and gives me a really good understanding of them by the end of the movie. And I like how they all change by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I don't think a lot of superhero movies do, where they change by the end of the movie.
Yeah, they're like different people.
Yeah.
Because they've gone on this journey together.
Yeah. I feel like for most of the Marvel movies, they don't necessarily change. The only thing that really changed about them was that they have powers now.
Yeah. Is that either they have powers, they understand their powers a little bit better, or they just, I don't know, they're better at ruling a kingdom of some sort.
Yeah.
They just become better at doing whatever they were doing before, or they blow up all their suits.
Yeah. Like, I don't feel like they actually go through a character change, right? Yeah. For the most part. I feel it's a little bit unfair to the Marvel movies. I feel like about maybe like half the cast has gone a character change from the first time.
You know who I feel like is the same even after everything that has happened to him?
What?
Like Tony Stark.
To a certain extent.
I feel like he is the same guy. Like, I mean, I know that he had that whole like PTSD with him dying.
That gets played off as a joke later? Yes,
yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, it's like, but that's the point. That's my point, right? Is that anything that happens to these characters, if it's like really traumatic,
it's more like or less non-consequential.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a joke. And it's like, I mean...
Oh, I'm not going to say it's a joke. I feel like, again, that's a little bit unfair to an MCU. I'm trying to be as fair as I can be, because I do feel like I'm a little harsh on the MCU sometimes. But I do feel like it's not necessarily played as a joke, but I feel like it's very non-consequential to the actual character itself. Like Iron Man's PTSD is definitely a case in that.
Non-consequential.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like Iron Man's PTSD is very is a very good example of that, where like it's important for one movie, but by the end of it, it doesn't matter that much
He
anymore.
just gets over his PTSD.
Well, not even, because he still goes through PTSD attacks in the other movies, but they don't care. No one cares. That's just it, though. Like, no, the people just stop caring about Iron Man's PTSD, and like I feel like that's a very awful thing to show.
Didn't Thor get his eye back in the...
Yeah, he got a cybernetic eye.
I don't think that's the point. Isn't that kind of like the point was like, oh,
Well,
he's lost something?
I like
he's lost everything and he's lost an eye.
No, 'cause it's so funny because in Thor Ragnarok, it's all about how the movie's more or less is all about how like he doesn't need to rely on his weapon.
Yeah.
Or it's all about him. Mm-hmm. That's why like Asgard does not need to rely on the home. Asgard is where
It's where the people are.
Yeah. So it is all about how like you shouldn't be attached to like something else to be your identity. Your identity is you, more or less. That is a very like basic viewing of Ragnarok. But I find it so funny that in Infinity War, where it's like, oh, I need to beat Thanos, and I need to get a new weapon. Because it stops being about like, oh, it's not about me anymore. I just need to get a better weapon to beat Thanos now. So it's like a lot of the character arc that these characters go through stop mattering by the end of the movie, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's even worse with some other characters, like Ant-Man. Ant-Man at the beginning of the movie is exactly the same as Ant-Man in the end of the movie.
Yeah.
He just got a suit.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another movie I didn't watch, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like, maybe that movie is good. I don't think so. I don't think people said a lot of good things about it, but maybe. Maybe he goes through a character change in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really have nice things to say.
I know we didn't really transition to us saying nice, bad things from nice things, but I think this is the point where you have to just say all the things we don't like about the Marvel movies.
Okay, I will say some things that I do like.
Okay.
Because you said things that you like, so I'll say a couple of things that I like. Because I do like some things about the Marvel movies. I agree that they're entertaining. Mm-hmm. I can't deny that. Mm-hmm. I can't deny the only movie I've been really bored in is Ant-Man when I watch it a second time. Mm-hmm. And then
you fell asleep in
Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
So the story behind that.
I don't think we need to tell the story.
Well, I'm going to tell the story because I don't know, I guess maybe it's not that important, but I thought it was kind of funny. Because we went to, we went to go see Iron Man 3 after we had gone to prom. Mm. So, like, all of our friends were like, we rented, like, this limo. And we went to prom, went back a little bit earlier, and then caught a showing of, like, Iron Man 3. But everyone was so exhausted. At least I was. I was so tired, I just fell asleep. And I woke up, and I feel like I didn't really miss anything.
Because you fell asleep midway through the movie, and you woke up by the climax.
Yeah.
Hey, you're right. I don't think you missed a lot. I think you got the basic idea.
I think I woke up, and then it was like the Mandarin isn't really the Mandarin, and I was like, I'm really confused.
Yeah.
But then I was
it
like...
It didn't matter.
Yeah, then I was like, well, it didn't matter that he wasn't the Mandarin, because that guy's a Mandarin now.
Yeah.
And then...
That's a good point, because when you fell asleep, it was just that chunk where they were like, who's the Mandarin? And like, you find out who the Mandarin is, and then it turns out he's not the Mandarin.
Yeah.
So technically, that entire chunk is pointless.
Yeah.
Or it's not pointless. It's not important to watch.
I think I fell asleep when he was in the snow, when he like busted up his suit, and he landed in the snow, and he was like talking to this kid.
Yeah, I think that's after the attack at his house, something like that.
Yeah, after his house falls into the ocean or something like that. I don't know. I just felt like I was sitting there and I was like, I didn't even have to watch this movie. I could have just watched that, the first part of the movie, and then the last part of the movie. And I feel like I wouldn't have missed anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you would miss, I guess, the twist, which, like, I don't like it because I feel like it makes most of the movie inconsequential. Again.
Why wasn't the Mandarin? Why was he called the Mandarin?
Well,
Did they not want to make it racist by making him?
well, in the comic books, he actually is Chinese.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm like, is it racist for him to be Chinese and called the Mandarin?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't make him like actually Chinese. I don't know why they made a lot of decisions in that movie, right? But the thing you'd be missing is like the Mandarin twist and Tony Stark dealing with his PTSD, and that's it. That's what you're missing. Granted, I feel like the PTSD would have been important, but it ended up not being. Is there anything else you like about the Marvel movies?
I think they're funny.
Yeah, sometimes.
I thought Thor Ragnarok was kind of funny.
I didn't, but that humor's subjective.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought it was funny, but I was also like really bored.
In Thor Ragnarok, yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about this before, where it's like I feel like a lot of Thor Ragnarok was just not important.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like the space scene was only like because they wanted to do a bit of Planet Hulk, right? And that's it. That was the only thing the space scene was kind of important for. That they want to do a little bit of Planet Hulk. Because the entire point of the movie is about Asgard and Thor dealing with his identity as like being an Asgardian and being like and knowing that like his power is not relying on the hammer, right? And like believing in yourself, right? So and I feel like the entire sequence at the Space Coliseum does not contribute to that.
It's the only thing that you get is that he learns that he can do electric things.
Yeah. You can do electric things. You get Hulk
without his hammer.
Yeah. You get Hulk back, but he didn't need to be there in the first place. And you meet the angel who was there.
The Valkyrie.
The Valkyrie, yeah. And that's it. But I feel like a lot of that did not need to take place in space.
Jeff Goldblum was there.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum was there. So I guess it all was worth it in the end. But like, and I feel like a lot of that didn't need to take place in the Space Coliseum. They could have just cut it down and do that somewhere else. Okay. Okay. I think this is. I need to get to my point where what I really don't like about the Marvel movies now.
Okay.
Which is, I feel like the Marvel movies have too much fluff. They're not concise enough sometimes. That's what I mean by like Thor Ragnarok is a good example of that. About that, we're like technically yes, the space scenes are important because they introduce all these characters in the space, right? I forgot what the planet's called. I don't give a shit. It's Space Coliseum, but I feel like they didn't need to do that. If they wanted to get Bruce Banner back, if they wanted to get the Valkyrie in, they could have done that anywhere else, right? Anywhere else in a shorter amount of time, and then they could have done more important things in that movie, right? But because it took place in that Coliseum, and because they wanted to do Planet Hulk so badly.
Is that a thing?
Planet Hulk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Planet Hulk is an arc in the comic books where the Avengers, I guess excluding the Hulk, were like, all right, the Hulk is too dangerous, so we're gonna shoot him in space.
That's kind of messed up.
Yeah. So they shoot the Hulk in space. The Hulk gets pissed off because
he's Hulk.
He's Hulk, and he lands in this planet where it's just a Coliseum, right?
Yeah.
And because he's a Hulk, he pretty much wins the Coliseum and becomes the ruler of the planet. And then to get his revenge, he flies back to Earth to fight all the Avengers.
But that's fair.
Yeah.
I would be pretty mad too if my friends sent me to.
So obviously they didn't do that entire arc, but the planet, what they wanted to do was basically show the Planet Hulk armor, which is what he wore at the Coliseum, and have him fight Thor. And that's it. And I feel like they didn't need to do that. I get why they did it because it was sold tickets, obviously, but for these movies to be better in my eyes, they need to cut out all that fluff and just do more important shit.
Kind of reminds me of, the newest Star Wars movie where they had the casino scene or the casino planet.
Yeah.
And you're like, why are they here?
Yeah.
And then
you find out they're there for like an environmental message or something like that, or like a war message.
Yeah, it's like, look at what war does. It hurts horses.
And then you ride the horses. Like, okay, like I get why they're there. They needed the hacker dude in order to yada yada.
Yeah.
It's one of those things like you get why they're there, but they could have done it differently.
And they're also like, when they're there, they're not there to do the things that they were supposed to do anyway. Like they were like taking their sweet time finding this dude with the ring, and then they were trying to free the animals, and then like they're trying to save the animals, and they were trying to like ride him off into the I'm like, what okay, focus movie. We're here,
This is a Star Wars movie, guys.
we're here to save people, okay?
And it's so annoying because it's not even like the Star Wars movies aren't even that complicated.
Yeah.
They're not. They're all very simple movies, and that's kind of what I like about them. Because it's simple movies, and they're kind of like they do what they do well.
Maybe that's the lesson for the last Star Wars movie. If you get too complicated, then everything
It turns into the prequels.
it messes up. It messes up everybody, and everybody's gonna die, and it's all your fault because you made things too complicated.
Yeah, and I feel like the Marvel movies has that issue where like they're supposed to be simple movies, right? You can see that because we just went on an entire tangent how they're all very basic, right? But the problem is that they want to add all this fluff and all this unnecessary shit and all this like they want to make it more complicated than it's supposed to be in order to like, I don't know, make the fans happy.
Yeah, I don't know, like add in like extra bits that like you were talking about, like Planet Hulk. It's like I wouldn't have known about that, but if I were a comic book fan, I'd be very happy. I think.
Yeah, you would think. I'm a comic book fan. I like Planet Hulk to a certain extent, but like watching that, because as much as I am a comic book fan, I'm a way bigger movie fan, right?
Can I cut you off for a second?
Sure.
Because you say that though, right? That they like to add a lot of extra fluff into movies, but then they take out like really important parts for characters in the movie, right? Like you were saying, like why are they adding all this extra stuff when they could be like maybe
doing important stuff
or focusing on their characters? Just like Doctor Strange, we were talking about, like he's not a very complicated character, but his backstory is very important.
Yeah.
That would be like, so I guess for people who don't know, like Doctor Strange had a sister who died. And
it wasn't that she just died. She died because Doctor Strange wanted to operate on her.
Yeah. And he was trying to save her and he couldn't, basically. So that's like why he works so hard to be a doctor and why his hands are so important, because he's a surgeon. And that's his whole backstory. To sum it up, right? Yeah. It's probably more complicated than what I'm saying, but like...
Not really. Doctor Strange origin, that was back when superhero origins was super simple.
But like, that's like saying, that's like taking out, like...
The way we described it, I think, was, that's like taking out Bruce Banner's parents dying, not Bruce Wayne's parents dying for Batman's story. Yeah. Origin story. Like, I guess you can make it so like he just wants to fight crime, but I feel like the death of his parents is very important.
Yeah, because otherwise, like, the Doctor Strange in the Marvel movie just seems like a rich, like, jerk. Like a rich, egotistical jerk who only cares about having money and being a surgeon. Yeah. Like, it doesn't really like, there's no backstory about his sister. There's no reason why he wants to be a doctor.
There's no reason why he works so hard.
Yeah, it's just to have money. And then, like, that's not really the reason for him being a doctor and for him to be so focused on being a doctor.
Yeah. Like when his hands get injured, right? Like, I get, like, why he's like, oh, I can't operate anymore. But that's not all a doctor does. He can still do a lot of shit to help people. But he's so focused on his hands that, like, I feel like that would matter if he had an origin story where, like, he operates on people to save lives, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't do that in the movie because he doesn't have that backstory with his sister. He doesn't have that motivation to, like, save people's lives like he does in the comics.
I'm going to argue with that for just, for argument, just for, devil's advocate. But let's say, like, I hurt my hands and I like to draw, right? I'd be pretty devastated that I couldn't draw because it will be my livelihood. It is my livelihood. So that makes sense to me why he would be so devastated.
I guess, but Doctor Strange isn't just a surgeon.
I know.
Yeah.
But
like, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
But he isn't just a surgeon. Like, in the comics, when he decides to, like, stop operating on people because of his sister, he ends up being, like, a researcher instead.
Yeah.
He focuses solely on, like, research and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what she had. She has, like, cancer or something.
She had, like, some kind of, like, brain, whatever.
Yeah.
Comic book disease.
She was dying of something.
Yeah. But that's kind of like my point where, like, they take away that in order to I don't know
I don't know what happened in Doctor Strange. Have some kaleidoscope effects. Like I don't know. Like Doctor Strange to me is like one of those movies that I was kind of looking forward to because like I didn't expect a Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah. I at the time we were like, oh, there's a couple of comic book heroes we would love to see, right? Doctor Strange was one of them, right? I wanted to see Aquaman, and then that came out, right?
And my dream came true.
I remember when we were talking about, like, comic book movies that we really want to see. I was like, I want to see a Green Lantern movie, and it was like, like, there is one. We're like, no, there isn't. That's not Green Lantern movie. What are you talking about?
Even Ryan Reynolds doesn't want to think about the Green Lantern movie.
What, Ryan Reynolds was in the Green Lantern movie? But yeah, like you said, like, I want to see a Doctor Strange movie, right? Because you like the comics, the few that you read, and, like, I think the character is somewhat interesting, albeit, like, plain.
Yeah.
But he has something there that'll work in the movie because he's so simple.
I think he's, like, a really, like, I think as in, like, a superhero. His powers are, like, he's
toolkit
awesome.
is so cool.
He is so awesome.
Yeah, the Eye of Agamotto, the cape, is like, all his powers are nothing like it is in the movie. Yeah. And that sucks.
Because he's so, like, it's like he becomes, what's it called? The Grand...
Sorcerer Supreme?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Grand, like, poobah.
I don't even think that's right. I think it's like Sorcerer Supreme, but it might be something else. It's like Sorcerer something.
I mean, that sounds kind of right.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like the animated movie...
The animated movie...
so much better.
It's not even... The animated movie is not even good.
But it did it so much better.
The animated movie sets up his backstory.
Yeah.
Plays up his trauma. Introduced the one... faces off Dormammu in a shorter amount of time in a more concise way that you're invested all the way through. The MCU movie does not do that.
I don't even remember how he did it. How did he defeat Dormammu?
In MCU?
Yeah.
He didn't. He went in and, like, Dormammu, I want to make a deal, and just time looped it. Because the Eye of Agamotto can do time loops for some reason in the fucking movie.
Oh, that's lame. That's really lame. Because he didn't have enough time to train. That's why.
And it's stupid because the entire movie is him training.
Yeah, but he didn't have enough time to train because he got his he became like Sorcerer Supreme or whatever at the end.
Yeah.
He became like at the very end of the movie. So like, what did he have to learn? He couldn't learn anything. You could say that like maybe when he became Sorcerer Supreme, that like it just like transferred like all into his mind brain, and like now he just knows everything. But that shouldn't be how it works, you know.
It's so weird. Okay, this is a small tangent I'm gonna have, right? But I feel like this is very indicative of what I'm talking about right now, which is I don't think a lot of people who's making MCU movies completely get their characters or what they're working with, right? I feel like Doctor Strange is the most apparent example of that. I think another example is Guardians of the Galaxy, but at least what they changed was good, right? Another example is like Ant-Man. Like I don't know what happened in that movie, but I feel like they don't understand the character of Scott Lang that well. Just remembered his name. With another example is Black Widow, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch. All these characters, I feel like
Quicksilver. I forgot about him because
like
he died.
All these side characters, and even some of the main characters, I feel like they don't quite understand like what made these characters well, and even like or maybe what made these characters good, and like what made them so compelling. The only real exceptions to that was Captain America, Iron Man to a certain extent, because I feel like Iron Man is so much different from the comics that's also the case. And like Spider-Man, but like there's very few examples of them. And I say about it's like a 50-50 toss-up, whether they change it for the better or for the worse, right? Like Guardian of the Galaxy, that was for the better. Thor, more or less for the better, right? But like, Ant-Man, you just take away his personality. Yeah. And Doctor Strange is the most egregious example of that.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I wish different people were working on these movies. And when I say different people, I mean like, I don't like these directors, but I just mean like, I wish they all felt differently. Yeah. They all feel very samey because they all have this formula to it.
It just feels like a cash grab. Yeah. Which they are.
I mean, they all are. All movies are cash grabs. Yeah. Right? But
this one
they don't necessarily mean that... Okay. The MCU movies feel soulless.
Yeah. I feel like there's a difference between cash grabs... You know, because like everybody wants to make a good movie and everybody wants to be successful. That's true. But I think that's different from a cash grab movie, which is just like, I'm doing it solely
to make money. Yeah.
To make money, and it doesn't matter the creativity. It doesn't matter like what, you know.
Yeah. Because that's the thing with these superhero movies. And like I said, the MCU... It's not the only company that does this.
Yeah,
DC
definitely.
Is just as bad, if not worse.
I think DC makes movies that are just not very enjoyable. Yeah, like that's the difference between like a Marvel movie and a DC movie is that I enjoy one and the other one I don't. Yeah, you know, except for maybe the most recent Aquaman and I hear Wonder Woman's good. I haven't watched it.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where like the Marvel movies feel soulless. I don't feel like they're trying to tell a compelling story. I feel like they're trying to just do a spectacle to make money.
Yeah, it's like people say it's like junk food for your eyes.
Yeah, and it's such a shame because I feel like you can do better. Because one of the main reasons why I like comic books, superhero comic books so much, is that they're not always like these basic stories. Because they don't always, but a lot of times they go into like what it means to be a superhero. Like what does a superhero mean to the average person, and how these heroes interact with the people. Yeah. Right. And there's a lot of times where they go through their own like identity issues, and like they go through like their own like development in terms of being like the superhero they want to be. And I feel like that's very compelling stuff. But I don't think the MCU and DCU does that.
You know what I was gonna say, but do you know I think the X-Men movies do a much better job. At least, okay,
On telling the superhero side of things. Yes, I agree there.
But I think that's the point of X-Men anyway.
Yeah.
So,
at least the first two movies.
Yeah. I liked Logan.
Oh, and Logan is a very good example of what I want in a superhero movie.
Yeah.
In terms of like what it means to be
like a superhero.
Or like who he is.
Yeah.
Right? And like how Logan has dealt with everything that happened to all his friends and family and stuff like that. I feel like Logan is such a good example of what I kind of want superhero movies to be. Not all superhero movies should be Logan. Yeah. Obviously. Yeah. I feel like Logan is a very special case, but I feel like they need to take more of what Logan did.
Yeah. Because I think Logan was just like, it ended really well for me anyway. And I don't really know much about X-Men. I don't know anything really about Wolverine. Yeah. But like I watched the movie, I was invested, and like I cared about like the characters in the movie, you know, and you could kind of see like Logan, like Wolverine, like kind of like change throughout the movie. Yeah. Like become like kind of like he knew he was gonna die anyway.
Yeah, at the end he knew he was going to die.
Yeah. It was more like it was kind of like because he wanted to die. And then at the end of the movie he was kind of like ready for it. Yeah. You know? And it was like he could never pull the trigger to actually kill himself. But then at the end when he had to actually protect somebody, that's when he was willing.
When he actually needed to be a hero.
Yeah, that's when he was like willing to like actually like die. Which I thought was like, wow, I mean, that's kind of like how you should leave it. It's kind of like it was like a really bittersweet ending where it was
that's what I mean by like these superhero characters have stories to tell. But I don't think they could do that in most of these MCU and DCU movies. Yeah. Logan is a very special example because it very much shows how you can handle these heroes. They don't always need to be like a spectacle or like they don't always need to like fight against a big bad, right? Logan like had a big bad and like
it was himself.
It was himself. Oh, symbolism. But like he had a big bag and it had like fight scenes. Yeah. But that wasn't important to telling the story. Yeah. Right. It was important. It was like a driving force in the story, in the sense of like, yes, he had to face against it. He had to use that in order to become a hero. Yeah. But it wasn't important in telling like this is what it means to be a superhero. Yes. This is what it means to find a place in this world, which is very much what X-Men was about. Yeah. And this is who the character of Logan is. Yeah. And that is what I want more superhero movies to do.
Like I feel like, and I don't want to, and I feel like Logan had some problems, but
like with all movies, like, and Logan like had some very apparent problems. True.
Yeah, but I feel like every movie has its problems. I just think that it really worked very well for a superhero movie. Yeah. One thing that really like stood out to me for Logan was the way that they handled like Professor X. And I just like, I don't know, I really felt something there. Yeah. Because it was like Professor X is this character that's like, even if you don't really know X-Men, you know Professor X, right? Yeah. You know Wolverine.
You know who Wolverine is at least. And if you know Wolverine, then you kind of know who Professor X is.
Yeah. You're like, oh, he's that bald guy in the wheelchair. Oh, sorry.
Professor X.
I just think that like even if you don't really know who they are, right? Like I said before, Professor X is like this really smart, intelligent guy. He's like the leader of the X-Men. He has a school, right? And he's got like telepathy or something. Like he can like read minds. And
He
talk
do a
to
lot of
people.
things. Yeah.
So he was like this really powerful, like really knowledgeable guy. And to see him like really frail and like really like
Brought down to where he is, and
Yeah.
to see him like lose everything,
Yeah.
lost his school, lost a lot of his students,
yeah,
and like to see him in a position where
he's like losing his mind.
losing his mind, like the thing that gave him his powers, he's like losing it, and to see the position where like basically his own son Wolverine has to take care of him,
Yeah.
and for like to see where they are is like very touching, and it literally in the theaters broke my heart when Xavier was talking to clone Wolverine,
Yeah.
and then he was talking about how like he appreciate, and then like to have clone Wolverine kill him right there, like, oh no, because to see Professor Xavier, to grow up with the X-Men movies and see
Or
that
even
character,
or even the show.
or even the show, or even the comic books, to see that character brought down to the position he's in,
Yeah.
and to see him go out like that, it's kind of it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And I feel like the movie does that very well, and it's something that I wish more superhero movies can make me feel. Right? It's one of the things where in the Justice League movie, when Superman was talking to like the kid in the beginning, like that scene was not done well, obviously, for a lot of reasons, for the CGI mustache thing, and for like how everything's angled and the dialogue that was happening, and that scene was not done well. But I feel like they want to do something like that more, where it's about Superman being a hero and being an icon rather than just a character,
Yeah.
right? Even though like I appreciate Superman as a character, like I said this before, my favorite superhero is Superman because of the comics, because of his identity, and because of how he has to deal with being a superhero. And even though he wants to be human so much, but he can't because he is Superman.
I think they touched on it a little bit in the.
They touch on it, but it's not done well.
I feel like it's like so heavy handed.
Yeah.
Like the idolization, the like, the nods to being like a god. Like I get it,
Yeah. But here's the thing with me and Superman. As much as it's important for Superman to be an icon, to be someone that people look up to for comfort and safety and yada yada, I feel like it's also just as important to show that Clark Kent is human,
yeah.
right?
And you don't really get that in any of the Superman movies.
You don't. The closest thing you get is Man of Steel, and that had a bunch of other issues with it.
Yeah.
Right? That's the closest thing you get, and even that movie didn't do like Clark Kent human that well.
Yeah.
And there's so many things, right? I just feel like these writers don't know how to write Superman. And to be fair, I myself don't think I can write a good Superman script, but I at least know what a good Superman script is. And I feel like they're not writing Superman as they should.
In your opinion. Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't think anybody who look at these Superman as a character in the DCU movies would think that's a good character. I don't think most people would think that. I think most people agree with me, but like he's just not a good character. I don't think people will agree with my opinion. I think a lot of people out there just think Superman's a bad character, which I disagree harshly. I disagree very harshly. I don't think Superman's a bad character. I just feel like he needs to be written differently than most other characters should.
Well, because everybody is like, oh, Superman's a goody two shoes.
Superman's a goody two shoes, and he's overpowered.
Yeah.
That's always a
He's
saying.
a poster boy.
Yeah, but
Or-
I feel like people people don't realize that you don't need to see write Superman like that, or not necessarily write Superman like that. That's not what you're supposed to focus on when you write Superman.
Yeah.
You're supposed to write Superman as someone who is important to the people, and someone who is also want to be human.
Yeah.
Like I said, as important as Superman, the icon, the savior, the man of the superhero of the earth, is supposed to be, it's also just as important to establish Clark Kent the human. That's why in the comics I really like Clark Kent with his son, or Clark Kent with Lois Lane, or Clark Kent with Jimmy. Those interactions.
Jimmy.
I think his name is Jimmy.
There's some guy named Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy Olsen. Yeah.
Is that his friend?
So Jimmy Olsen is a photographer, reporter. I don't remember, but he's basically interns at Daily Planet, and he finds out about Superman's identity, right? But he's just a normal kid, right?
Yeah.
So Jimmy Olsen basically helps Clark Kent hide his identity.
Oh.
Yeah. And Jimmy Olsen I think is such a precious character in the comics because he wants so hard to be a hero like Superman, because before he finds out about Superman's identity, he just idolizes him, and like he wants to help the people so much, and he admires Superman so much.
Oh.
Like I like Jimmy Olsen a lot. I feel like Superman is such a good character to write for, but I don't feel like people are writing him like they should. I don't feel like that's the right thing to say because there's no one way to write a character.
Yeah.
But I feel like the way they're writing it is worse than what I think they should write it as.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I went on a big tangent there about Superman because I care a lot about Superman. But yeah. Is there anything else with the DCU and MCU movies?
Not really. Not really for me.
Yeah. Do you think we just exhausted all our things we got to talk about?
I mean, for DC, for the movies, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because I think I've made my opinion pretty clear. I think they're all the same, pretty much, for the most part. I think there's something in every movie, or in most movies, that's redeemable, right? That there's things that I like about each movie. Don't get me wrong. Of the movies that I've seen, but
I cannot say the same.
But there's like, do I think that every movie is good? No. Do I think that any of them are like really spectacular? No, not really. Not as a movie.
No.
I just think that they're very like people say, they're like junk food for
your eyes.
For your eyes.
Yeah, like I said, I think the best movie is Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like it's because it's the best movie out of all of them. Because they would tell a story in a very concise way, and there's no like super unimportant fluff in it. And the feel is great, but
even then it like suffers from, if there's one thing about it, that it suffers from a really forgettable villain.
It suffers from a forgettable villain, and it suffers from all the heroes being basic, which is not necessarily a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
The issue is there's so many characters that they have to be all basic.
Yeah.
They can't all have
like their own movie.
Yeah, their own movie. Which, like, to be fair, like that isn't a problem that they can fix, right?
Yeah.
I would still say like it's an issue, but it's not something that they can fix with the things they have.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, it suffers from a forgettable villain, and it suffers from some awkward writing sometimes. But that's about it.
Yeah.
I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy is the best movie of all the DC MCU movies, and I feel like most of them are below average. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that part. Well, okay. Before I want to completely drop this topic, what do you think about Endgame? so far? What you know?
Of Endgame?
Endgame, yeah.
I don't really care.
You don't care?
I don't care at all.
I mean, we're still gonna see it, obviously, right?
I didn't care about the last movie.
Infinity War, yeah.
And I don't really care about this one.
Yeah.
I just really don't care. I feel bad for saying it, but not really. Like, because I feel like that's just really dismissive. Like, oh, I don't really care about it. But I honestly don't care whether I see it or not. Like, it won't affect my life in any way, except that everyone will be talking about it. But it's not like I really cared about the movies anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious to see how it ends.
Yeah. I guess so.
And that's about it.
Yeah. Because for me, the only thing I'm not excited for about Endgame, well, I'm not excited about a lot of things, but the thing I'm most not excited for is the fact that it's a 3-hour long movie.
I've heard, yeah. I've heard it's really long.
I do not like that, because even though, like, I feel like movies are getting longer and longer and longer.
You gotta put an intermission in between.
Yeah. Even though movies are becoming, like, longer and longer, I feel like superhero movies don't need to be 3 hours long.
3 hours is a long time. But see, they want to, it's 3 hours because they gotta fit in every, like, you know, A-list actor in there.
Okay. We are definitely going to be talking about this again in the future, because that's the whole reason I brought this up.
Yeah.
And I will correct myself when it comes around if it's the case. But I feel like Endgame is going to have so much fluff that they can cut out maybe an hour of that movie. I feel like there's going to be so much unimportant scenes that at least an hour of it is just not going to be needed.
I bet they're going to come out with, like, a director's cut, and it's going to be like 4 hours long.
Jesus Christ. And you come out with my cut and it's only like an hour and a half. Oh, no. But yeah, that if it turns out to be a case where they actually need all 3 of those hours, I would say so when it comes out. But as of right now, I don't think that's going to be the case. Yeah. I think that's it for our MCU talk.
We'll be back here again.
Yeah.
At some other time.
And after Endgame, I don't think I ever want to talk about the MCU ever again.
Is this the end of everything?
No. It's going to be more movies, but that's the end of that phase of heroes, basically.
Oh, really?
I don't know if they're going to bring back all of the heroes, but that is pretty much, they want to rotate more heroes in.
Oh, because everybody's contract is running out.
I feel like that's the case, but I can't confirm. I'm not in the industry. I can't confirm that at all.
I don't know. I'm just speculating that people's contracts are running out.
And they're becoming too expensive.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Done with that. After Endgame, I never want to talk about this movie again unless, you know, it's a Q&A thing. But I never. Not as a podcast topic. All right. Is there something else you want to talk about?
I did want to talk about something, but I'll save it for next time because I think it'll be, like, pretty long.
Well, what are we, episode 5?
Give me a second, huh?
We're on episode 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. So this is episode 5, Sarah. We've been doing this for 5 weeks, right?
Wow, that's a long time once you say it like that.
Yeah. Well, it's a month and a week.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, now that we've done this for a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
Not a long time, but a decent amount.
We've looked like we're committed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We at least look like we're committed.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are going to start uploading this to actually podcasting sites soon. I will make an email, right?
Yeah.
That will be in the description that I cannot name right now because I haven't actually made it. But I want to ask you, where do you want to go with this podcast?
Where do I want to go?
It's a short thing, just like a little like state of the podcast, I guess.
Well, I like doing it for fun. And, you know, I feel like if you do it for profit, it's not so fun anymore, right?
Yeah.
You know, so I'd like to keep doing it for fun as long as possible. And I think we'd always be doing it for fun anyway.
Yeah.
I can't, in my head, I can't imagine being very big.
Yeah.
you know, we'd have to be doing this for like 10 plus years, I feel like.
Yeah. And maybe we'll get like 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice? But, yeah, I mean, like, it would be, it would just be like, it would just be cool, I guess.
Yeah. Well, like, I said this before to maybe other people. I don't know if I said this to you, but I feel like podcasts they don't get big on YouTube, obviously. Yeah. The only podcasts that get successful are people with like established fan bases.
Yeah, like H3H3.
H3H3, Hello Internet, like what was other podcasts, basically. Like celebrity podcasts.
Yeah.
Right? So I feel like making this podcast, I'll never expect this to be big. I'll never expect this to be successul. And I don't necessarily like not want it to be successful. Of course I want it to be successful.
Yeah.
But I feel like if we did this with 0 subscribers or 1,000 subscribers or 1 million or whatever, I will still be doing this the same, right?
So to me, what's important is that the people who are watching, or just our friends who watch, if they enjoy it, especially our friends, if they enjoy it, then that's all that really matters to me. Because I'm shocked that they enjoy it.
They just enjoy us talking.
Yeah, because they hear that all the time. So like, so I don't really understand why they enjoy it so much. But yeah, because like Ben was telling me today that he and Pam listened to it together, and I was like, that's
weird.
Yeah, it was weird. It's not weird to listen to it together.
Keep doing it.
Yeah,
but that's weird for us. Where it's like, oh, people listen to us like as a group.
I thought that was like, oh, it's very nice that you both are very supportive of like the things that we do, and we really appreciate it. So thank you. Yeah, it's just really just that our friends watch too, or listen. It makes me feel
anyone
good.
else who are listening, like,
oh yeah, and anyone else.
Well, like that's why I always want to say like I want like this interaction, because like it's just us two that's talking, but we also talk about like a lot of other shit that I feel like it's more important to get other people's views on it.
That's definitely
like because the audience is so small, we don't get a lot of comments, but like stuff I really want to hear about is like from our like robot prostitution episode. I want to hear people's opinions about that all day. For our things where I ran about culture and it was just us arguing about whether food is important to culture or not. I want to hear people's opinions about that because I know I'm in the minority there. Right? Like even in this with the movies, I know we're both in the minority in the MCU movies. That we don't like it. So I kind of want to hear people's opinions about that, like what they like and what they don't like about the MCU movies. Because I doubt even if you do like the MCU movies, you don't like everything about them. I feel like if you like everything about them, you should at least reestablish what you like about the MCU movies then. But I really want to hear other people's opinions. I really want to encourage that in other people who are watching this. Because like I said, I want to hear these opinions and I want to like talk about them, right? I want to see where other people are coming from. So if there's anything I want out of this podcast, it'd be that. We don't need a lot of people, but if people are talking back and forth with us, that's what I want.
I would love, and I think we've mentioned this before, but I would love a conversation because I think, like I said before in our previous episodes, that we do live in a little like, in a bubble, like a little echo chamber, especially if it's us two. Because, you know, we don't agree on everything, but we agree on a lot of things. If
you listen to the last podcast and you really see that we don't agree on everything.
We don't agree on everything, but we do agree on a lot of things, and a lot of our, you know, like our morals and our like ideals and everything, they kind of align. So like for us and like our friends, probably, and those are sort of similar. So I would love to hear like something that
it's like something so different,
something a little bit different or a lot different from our opinions. And I'm willing to listen to anybody. So we both are.
Yeah.
I'll even listen to like people who are preaching out in Berkeley. I love that stuff.
I don't.
I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah. So yeah, Endgame is a month away. So in a month again, we will talk about this.
Yeah, and I will have some opinion.
Yeah, and hopefully, since Endgame would just come out, people will actually watch the podcast, and we'll get people's opinions on it.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, because the way I'm planning it is that we watch Endgame on the Thursday it comes out, and then on the Saturday we upload the podcast. So hopefully maybe
we'll get a boost in
boost in the algorithm.
A boost in subscribers. I have to do a special thumbnail for it.
Are you going to?
Maybe I'll do clickbait for it. Endgame is what? You'll never believe what happens in Endgame. Our opinions on Endgame is garbage, or Endgame #1 movie of the year.
I don't know if you noticed in all the titles, but I always make the titles as blank and blank.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's a couple thoughts, so it's this thought and this thought. So I feel like for the Endgame one, it's like Endgame is garbage and best movie.
Oh my god, really? You should put that. You should put that number. I would. That is so good. Look for that in a month from now.
We'll see. In a month from now, an episode that'd be 9.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
That's pretty crazy.
Well, with that, this will be a little bit of a shorter podcast because we went longer on one topic.
Yeah.
And the other topics that I want to talk about is also going to be pretty long.
Yeah, that's for next time.
I
hope it'll be interesting because I find it so interesting. Kevin knows.
Yeah. So next time we'll talk about that topic. That we'll leave off at a cliffhanger.
Ooh, what could it be? I hope people aren't excited about it because maybe it's not that exciting.
No. Well, we'll see. So, with that said, I am happy resident couple Kevin. Are you gonna outro yourself?
And I've been Sarah.
Okay.
The other half.
And this has been Just a Couple Thoughts. And we'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.